In a world of legendary moments will be captured. So stand up, scream, and make sure the boys feel you.
And the only thing else I got to say is, how about them Cowboys? Yeah!
What is going on, Cowboy Nation? Welcome back to Primetime Studios. Like always, I'm your host, Primetime Phil, and today we're going to preview, of course, the Thursday night football of the Dallas Cowboys versus the Seattle Seahawks, and a rivalry. No, not at all, but there's definitely been some games that we've been on the losing side, and in more memory, I jump back to that Romo snap whole thing. So the past 4 games, of course, Dallas has had the losing side of those games with one of those wins. So, hopefully Dallas can get back on the winning track. And this looks like a nice recipe for a win, possibly. So, before I go any further, of course, I'm going to bring in my co-host, Game Time Brian. Game Time, how are you doing on this Wednesday?
I am doing wonderfully on this hump day. I'm doing great, man. How is everybody? I know I've seen a lot of these people in my live earlier, but how have you been, Phil?
I'm doing well, man. Busy, but never too busy to talk Cowboys football, talk NFL, because we don't have this forever. It's only how many weeks out of the 52 weeks? You really gotta enjoy it while it can. And of course, you have your emotional roller coaster as you're a Cowboys fan, or really any fan in the NFL, especially with some of the officiating going on. Injuries, you could say, ACL tears. It's just all over the place with the NFL. But one thing we are not is we are definitely not all over the place when it comes to Primetime Studios and our views. But we are, all over the place when it comes to what days we're going on.
We are, but we are basically at the whim of our schedules. But more importantly, the whim or the schedule of the Cowboys, right?
Yep.
Dallas is prime time, so it's like we have to go when they go. So this is that stretch of 4 games in 18 days, and we're only halfway through it.
And really, honestly, speaking of we go as they go, one thing that we definitely do is we go as the chat goes. And of course, we have people like Jeff Lee, Angelica Barone, which is always wreaking havoc. Hopefully, your puppies are okay. Jojo, how are you doing? Loyal Cowboy is in the house. He's asking, of course, what is going on with your doll, and have you named it yet? And then you'll get into that.
This thing, yeah. I had no idea, people. I was just talking to Phil. Here, let me pull up my Zoom camera because I'm looking at the broadcast and that's way behind. So, yeah, there he is. I have a full name, but as far as you guys are concerned, his name is the Mystic. The Mystic is in the house, but his real name is Mystic Mojo. Very, very, very. I forget exactly what it's basically. He's powerful, but this is an authentic voodoo doll. So I don't want to necessarily I was going to do a ceremony and broadcast it, but I don't know that I want to do that.
YouTube's going to ban you.
Shit starts going bad. People are going to blame me.
Yeah.
But I will. Chuck, it's in the works. I'm going to Google how to properly do it. Put a spell out there. I won't discuss the spell, but it's coming. So we got the Mystic on our side. Between Cowboy Joe Boo and the Mystic, which is the real deal. You turn that down. That's why.
Well, let me go back through. I want to give a shout out to Stacy for coming through. Of course, Brad Harris holding it down. Thank you for letting people know to smash those like buttons. Let's see. Who else we got in here, because my chat doesn't want to go.
Yeah, look at you.
What's that?
You have the chat on the side.
No, I don't.
Oh.
Not yet.
Oh, you know what it is?
Not yet.
This is a little people. This is actually pretty cool. If you guys put your closed captioning on, the chat automatically comes on the right hand side.
Oh yeah, I think that's more. Yeah, it's become a feature. I know that I've tried to when I stream some of these games.
No, but like you should try it on your TV. It's not like normal closed captioning. It literally pulls up the chat.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. When I did the YouTube for the NFL ticket, I was getting people's chats in there. I was like, I don't want to see that.
But I'm just saying it's kind of cool because it like covers everybody. The other thing is, if there's somebody negative, then we got to count on our mods here to light them up. Brad, what up, my man?
Lady Libra, welcome. Glimmerman. So I don't even know. He called us a hoe. That's great. Thank you, Glimmerman.
What's up, Jason Renfro?
Let's see. Let me go. Brooklyn Joe is in the house. I want to make sure I get everybody. Jason, of course, you said. Elena Walker. Let me go down. It's like I'm trying to scroll, but it's not going. There we go. I'm trying to see who else is in here. Oh man, they are going. They're pretty good on the chat right now. If I missed you, I apologize. I'm trying to look through here, but my chat is kind of scrolling very slowly. So one thing that we'll talk about is, of course, the wonderful Thursday night matchup. Thursday night football hasn't had the best reputation since it's been brought to the league in the Amazon portion of it. I mean, come on, let's all be real. When Amazon first started, did we, that bookstore, online, we were just like, I don't know about this. And now you look at it and where it's become. I kind of look at the Thursday night football kind of the same way. Right now, you're the little stepchild that's coming in and you're trying to get airtime, and they're just like, look, man, we're going to give you this game, we're going to give you that game, you got this leftover game, you can have the one right after. Okay, we'll give you a Cowboys game, but it's got to be right after Thanksgiving. There was a negotiation there, and I just hope that the games get a little bit more exciting, because even the ones that were pretty exciting in the beginning of the or in this point of the year, I think even the Ravens game, we ended up having Joe Burrow get hurt. Mark Andrews. There's a couple people that got hurt end of seasons, and then bam, that exciting game became a very boring one. So we'll see what happens tomorrow night. But the biggest thing I want is, of course, everybody to stay healthy and for us to, make that nice push towards the playoffs. So, Brian, how do you see about this Thursday night football game? Do you actually see it as an Amazon Prime exciting game, or do you think that Dallas can run away with it and make it a little bit boring?
Before I answer that, I'm going to get the Glimmerman. Glimmerman says, Brian, don't mess with the powers we don't know about. I agree. I'm gonna make sure I do it the right way. But you also are named Glimmerman. Wasn't that like a scary movie?
Bobby Murphy, that's hilarious. Bobby Murphy says, Eagles have a voodoo doll too. It is dressed like an NFL official.
Yeah, well, it's working clearly, Bobby.
All right,
thanks for showing up over here too, Bobby. If anybody has watched me lately, I said this game for a month now I've been a little bit worried about. I just have. I just been a little bit worried about this game, just based on where it falls in our schedule. And I go back to the Cowboys of years past. I don't care what anybody tells me. Dallas of the last few years would lose this game. They just would. They would run off and beat the Carolina. Now, they hadn't had that much success, but they have won their last couple of Thanksgiving games. Okay, then you come back with the Eagles next week. This falls right in the middle against a desperate Seattle team who's fighting for their playoff lives, who's going to be ultra aggressive on fourth down on the road against a team who's averaging 31 points at home. We've never beaten. We're 0-4 against Tyler Lockett. I repeat, we have not beaten Tyler Lockett when he's healthy. Tyler Lockett lights us up. So, hell yeah, I'm scared, but we'll get to all that, but I think we're going to be okay. But, yeah, I'm a little concerned. I've been.
Well, yeah, this one right here, that's the one where you're just like, okay, this team is not blowing teams out, it's barely winning. They're on a downward trajectory. Doesn't mean that's where they're going to stay, because they're good enough to make the playoffs, I think, especially with what's within that division. It's not too much after San Francisco, right? So I mean, I think they can make a wild card, especially with the rest of it.
San Francisco.
Yeah, so I think this is the type of team that can play spoiler.
Out of it, but I mean, you know.
Yeah, well, you know, even if we were facing Arizona, you saw how that game went. And I look back at that, we didn't have our identity then offensively. I think that's
since
a big
the bye, it's been different. We discussed it. They totally revamped everything. So, I'm not trying to make excuses, but the proof is in the results offensively. I'm not saying we're beating bad teams. I get it. Everybody wants to run their mouth. Oh, we're only beating bad. Okay, those are the same. Okay, we blew out Washington. The same team that took the Eagles not once, so you can say, oh, that was lucky. Twice. Field goal game. Once went to overtime.
What's up, Liverman?
The Jets. Yeah, the Jets. You know, that's their one hiccup. Okay. Shit happens.
Yeah.
Shit happens. You know what I mean? And I'm not trying to be mean, but we only play who you can play. Chuck, what's up? The Glimmerman's worried about the voodoo doll. I said, don't worry. He's in good hands. I don't mess with that stuff other than we're going to aim it in the right direction. That's all I'm going to say.
When I look at this Seattle team, I mean, let's be real. I mean, they can beat a team. Now, are they the type of team where you're just going, okay, we really have to worry about them because offensively they can just move the ball down the field, defensively they can just stop you? No, they have some playmakers. It's not it's not one of those teams that are on the bottom of the league where they just can't seem to move the ball. And right now their offense is very stagnant. And when you look at the rankings for these teams, I want to break down a couple of things here. When you look at Seattle's offense, right now they're ranked 21st in the NFL, with Dallas, of course, being 5th right now in the NFL. When it comes to the pass, Seattle is 17th, and on the run, they're 26th. While Dallas is 4th in the league in passing and 13th in the run, which is really 13th in the run is kind of surprising. Even, Tony's doing his thing secretly, I think. Definitely getting back into pace. When it comes to scoring, Seattle's 18th in the league, while Dallas is actually 1st, which, nice. Red zone offense, this is where I think, you would put us on the other side, but recently with our success, looks like Seattle is 25th, and we are 16th. So I mean, there's definitely some differences there with what each defense has to handle. And so when we switch over to the defensive side, of course, Seattle has a 23rd ranked defense. Dallas has a 3rd ranked defense. These offenses that are more where Dallas has a more offense that's going to score and move on you. Seattle doesn't have as much on the defensive side to be able to stop it. It's pretty average to below, to the bottom of the league. So, everything says that Dallas should be able to move the ball, and even with that stagnant kind of beginning, I really feel that Dallas has the ability to really kind of like, who are you going to cover? Because it isn't like Dak has a favorite weapon. He's not going to CeeDee Lamb because he needs that first down. He is not going to Jake Ferguson because nobody else is coming up with the plays. He is spreading the ball around. So if you got a fantasy wide receiver on this team, it's not been going very well for you other than CeeDee Lamb for those past couple games. So when you look at these two, the offense and defense, how do you look about this Dallas offense stacking up against that Seattle defense and vice versa?
Yeah, Seattle's secondary is not bad. I think Seattle's is...
They're 22nd in the league.
Yeah. But, I mean, I would say that they are better than what Washington has given you. And don't forget, they went out and made a trade with the Giants. I don't know if he's going to play. Leonard, I believe. Is that what the interior defensive lineman? They traded for him. We'll see. They're banged up, Seattle. Seattle's Achilles' heel is their offensive line.
They got that secret weapon, Kelvin Joseph, that they signed.
Yeah, right. Yeah, he's going to discuss all of our signs.
He probably don't even remember it. He probably don't remember it. He's just like, shit, exactly. What was that? I was like, I don't remember. Yeah. I learned Miami's lingo, and I don't remember any of the... Yeah.
I think they're going to be... Everybody thinks that Seattle's going to come out and try and run the ball. I think Seattle's in the corner.
If they're smart. I think if they're smart, they will. But, yeah.
I know, and I understand, but you also got to look at... In order to beat Dallas right now, you can say what you want, but Dallas is the hottest offensive team in the league right now.
That's correct.
Since the bye week and changing up what wasn't working and going to what Dak's doing now, it's pretty... You don't have to believe me. Just believe what Aaron Rodgers came out and said, and we'll touch on that. But he was lighting it up. Now, listen, the Seattle has only had 3 offensive touchdowns in the last 4 games, so they're struggling.
Yeah,
They are struggling offensively,
and they're struggling against team. Okay, don't give push it aside. San Francisco last week, that's understandable. But the weeks before that, they haven't been juggernaut type of teams. So that's why, you can stay in the fight, and they've kept these things close. But when you look at the two teams, man, there is just a difference in the roster, and there's a difference in the game plan. There's a difference in how confident each player is in their system, and it's just not happening in Seattle. So, I mean, that doesn't mean Seattle's not capable of doing something, but when I look at the run, they're ranked 26th in the league. I mean, Dallas is not great at defending the run, but they're not that bad either. I mean, they've done a lot better of a job of holding people. I mean, when you look at the fact that they haven't given up a 100-yard rusher, I was getting to, Chuck. And when they haven't given up a 100-yard rusher, I mean, that says something. And there has been some teams that they've gone against where the running back is the main guy. So they've done a really good job countering since last year. Teams are still moving the ball, but it's nowhere near as much. We'll go ahead and bring it up.
Now, well, Chuck said he's mainly concerned about DK.
And
then I said, and then he came back with Lockett. Yeah, DK has less touchdowns than Deron Bland. He came out and even said so. He said as much. I expect Seattle to have their best offensive outing in a while, and I think it's going to be in a trailing type situation. I think they're going to score some points. I just don't think Seattle can stop us right now offensively.
I agree.
I think our offense is locked in.
Smith and Njigba.
Yeah, but just think about it. Seattle has probably just as many, if not more, weapons than most teams in the NFL. Their only Achilles heels, their offensive line is horrendous, which plays into our hands. But like Phil just said, you got Jackson and Smith and Jigba. You got DK Metcalf. You have a Tyler Lockett. You have Will Dissly, the tight ends. You have Kenneth Walker. I don't know that he's going to play. He has an abdominal injury that he's trying to work through. They have young Zach Charbonnet.
Can't stand that running back. I cannot stand him.
I know. They are so damn talented. Well, Chip Kelly ran him into the ground. Mm-hmm. He ran him 500 times in 2 years. That was my one thing about him that I didn't want, is that just the number of carries that he got at UCLA over 2 years. He had over 500 carries of the football. That's crazy for a college running back, but whatever. He's decent. He's off to a good start. But yeah, they are very, very talented. I just don't think they're going to be able to stop our offense, even if it's for a drive or two. I challenge anybody to say that we've put in the whole game together yet, because we really haven't. No. Look at last week, right, Phil? We came out.
Even with those teams in the beginning, we were like, "Oh man, this is a complete game." You saw a lot of, the offense wasn't anywhere what it's at, and you got to give credit to Dak Prescott for this. And as I bring that up. Another guy had to give Dak credit. Twiz? And I want to play a little quick. I mean, obviously, you guys have probably heard it by now. I was hoping to, if we were a day earlier, it would have been a little bit more, oh, wow, he said that. But, obviously, everybody understands what he's saying. So, Aaron Rodgers, of course, being asked about, in general, quarterback positioning.
I'm just not watching a lot of games. And this year I watched a lot more games than usual. And, Tom had some comments about, Brady had some comments about some of the mediocrity in the game, and I just want to say Dak is not who he was talking about.
Okay.
For a number of reasons, but I just love that he's really playing the position. What I mean by that is I'm watching him make Ringo calls, so that's protection adjustments against these crazy looks and picking things up. I'm watching him, bring the tight end back in against zero pressure and throw an old concept we used to run for a touchdown to CeeDee Lamb in the back of the end zone.
He did that to Turpin.
Use his cadence, beautifully, and get into this rhythmic. Here we go.
Here we
go.
Like
dummy,
here we
using
go.
it as a dummy sometimes, doing it twice into like
he's done it dummy
cadences.
stuff. He has.
I mean, the last 4 or 5 weeks, I've gotten to see more of their games, and I just want to say, like, he's playing a position in a really impressive way. And for whatever reason, maybe because he's the Cowboys quarterback and it's one of those premier positions in sports, like I feel like the Green Bay quarterback has been for a long time, and some other, positions in various sports, he might take a little more shit than he deserves, or maybe it's deserving of the position, I guess. But I love the way he's playing, and I love the way he's playing, really playing. I'm not talking about just like, making good
has
throws.
a problem with Aaron
Rodgers.
Like,
it seems more rare the guys are actually really playing a position,
savant.
Making adjustments.
You say whatever you want about his off the field. I don't care. The dude is just great.
He's listening to dolphin noises to heal. I don't know. Some dolphins having sex or something like that.
That's fine. It obviously is working. He's already freaking practicing. He's practicing. He just started doing light work at practice after an Achilles tear, week 1. I mean, but he knows the game. Did you see Robert Salah, how giddy he was just watching him? He's obviously a superior talent.
Yeah.
He's unbelievable. Whether he's won one Super Bowl or not, we need to stop with the bashing of Aaron Rodgers. He is the man. It's just he's coming to the end of his career, and it is what it is. But searching for validation, Dak leads the league in touchdown passes, Twiz. And I know you're gonna say, "Well, listen, don't worry, we're gonna take care of you in 2 weeks."
I just think it's funny. I mean, last year they were all about interceptions, and it didn't matter about any of the success. They were all about the interception. Now Dak is one of the lowest throwing interceptions in the league, and now it does not even matter. It don't matter.
Pull up that Lowell Mason stat.
Is that what it is?
Today, where he put everybody's interceptions.
Oh no, I didn't see that. That's hilarious.
Yeah.
But no, and
but that's not a topic this year, And I'm not talking.
It's like Diggs' interceptions.
Four ahead.
Interceptions the year before, it was 11 interceptions, and then all of a sudden it was like,
well,
he's giving up all these yards. Like, nobody even cared. Darrell Revis was making interceptions, and nobody cared how many yards he was giving up. I mean, it was just funny how the narrative really changed, when people started getting those stats. So when I look at, again, let's go back to this matchup. When we go back to this matchup.
Hold up.
What's up?
Just real quick. Just hold that thought. We're getting back to the matchup. I want to get this off my chest. Right to Chuck. Or Glimmerman, I mean. It's against bad teams, LOL. We already earmarked these next 4 games. All you MVP, Dak MVP people. Hey, I'm on board if we can get through these next 4 games. Okay? Talk to me after these next 4 games. This is where the season started. We've been earmarking Seattle for a month now. We're here. We got here unscathed. Let's see what happens against Seattle, Philly, at Buffalo, at Miami. Let's see what happens. You go 4-0 in that stretch, then watch the frig out. But we need to. I can't blame these people talking about we haven't beat anybody. Yeah. We know you only beat who you play, but now you're playing.
But this isn't college football
either.
We didn't pick our schedule. We didn't go to the team and go, will you play us on this day?
If you want the love, and I heard Shannon Sharp and who was? It was Shannon and Steve Smith. Or Stephen A. Sorry.
Stephen A.
They were talking about Dak, and they were comparing it, and they are right. That's the one thing I could say that they're right on is they went back to Peyton Manning. Remember Peyton Manning would win MVPs.
Omaha!
He would do all this stuff, but he really didn't get his peers didn't say he was great, right? That they didn't necessarily say it. The pundits would say, well, you need to win the big one. And it wasn't until after he won a Super Bowl that they said, you know what? He's great. Peyton, he won 2? He won 2, I think. He won 2 Super Bowls. Dak needs to beat a good teams and win a Super Bowl for him to get the ultimate praise. Us Cowboy fans love him, but if you want the love of Stephen A. or you want any of these other teams, fan bases to respect you, you need to do good against good teams. and we're going to learn everything we need to know in the next 4 weeks. So anyway, getting back to the game at hand, go ahead, my man.
No, I mean, there's. I look at this team and I know that Seattle is very capable. I mean, they could come in, and I just don't see it. Even if we're off on the game in general, things are happening, flags, stuff like that. They still have the talent to overcome a lot of that stuff. It's just, will they have turnovers, things that they haven't been having as much on offense compared to earlier in the year or last year. Fumbles by guys, non-catches, just drops. We're having a lot of drops for Dak, and so they're getting on the same page, and it just really looks like you pointed it out. I mean, during the bye week, you could see that change. It was just kind of like, okay, we need to switch this stuff up. We're really we have no identity. Now it's like they have a lot of things that defenses need to stop on this offense. But man, it's a rhythm offense. You see the rhythm going, and I love it.
Yeah, and the most important reason why, in my humble opinion, is our offensive line has given up 0 sacks in the last 2 weeks.
And you wouldn't think that, man. This offensive line at times can look really bad.
What did I tell you
against
guys?
really good competition on the defensive lines, and they've done really well. I mean, again, Washington has gotten rid of people, but they still had amazing D tackles.
And they weren't that healthy. Remember, Tyler Biadasz rolled his ankle. He played through it.
Jack Martin was out.
He wasn't 100%. Terrence Steele got lit up by me and everybody else about him getting eaten alive, but yet he's tightened it up. He's healthy, but when you come back from a major knee injury, your footwork, he just had to work on things. It's calling gelling. Look at Tyron Smith.
Tyron Smith reminds me of bunny ears.
Friggin' balling out.
Yeah, he reminds me of bunny ears because you're just like, if you touch him, it'll mess up. The picture won't come in.
Yeah.
But if you get it at that right spot, man, I think we figured it out. Don't let him practice and just put him in during the games, and so
Tyler
now we have
Smith
a clear picture.
Is just playing and Tyler is just playing on a Pro Bowl level. He's just that good.
I love
So
Tyler Smith,
arguably.
yeah.
Well, numbers-wise, he's the best left guard.
He looks like a chubby.
I'm not going to sit there and argue
Amari
him
Cooper.
over this guy or that guy. Yeah, he does. That's a good point. He looks a lot like Amari with 100 pounds on.
Yeah, exactly.
But at least. But yeah, that's the main thing. Last week, for the first time that I could remember, and I ain't just pulling this out of my, you know what?
Yeah.
He was able to step up in the pocket. He stepped up. I'm like, holy crap. Normally if Dak has to make a big play, he has to roll out. Tyler Biadasz played well. And he was able to step up in the pocket. And as good as he played the first drive, he missed, or the first 2 drives, his rhythm wasn't quite there. Like I said, maybe he came out and he just couldn't get it. He missed wide open receivers streaking down the field. Or the numbers would have been even more outlandish. So
congratulations, Coyote, on winning the contest with who was it? Vach, I think it was. So I saw it. I was like watching.
Oh, really?
They were like, Coyote won, and I was like, oh, look at Coyote, man. It's like all over the place. Congratulations, Coyote.
He's the man.
Yeah. So
right now I'm watching The Big Bang Theory. Okay. Well, you're watching us, Chuck, and The Big Bang Theory.
I love The Big Bang Theory. There's a couple of stuff that I can just watch over and over again. Series-wise.
That's awesome, Coyote.
Yeah. There's a couple of them. How I Met Your Mother's another one. Friends, things like that. I mean, I can definitely get sucked into those for a while. Let's see. When I was going to talk about, this offense.
Man. We're rambling.
Well, no, and it's fine. I mean, we're going with the chat as well, and what kind of comes up now when we're talking about this offense for Seattle, which is kind of want to dive into it. Geno Smith, of course. Geno, there's a lot of people that have confidence in Geno, and I see that he is an above-average quarterback. That's what I don't think that he's 75%. I'm more like 55. He's like, that's how close to average he is, just a little bit above it. So that's why
Yeah.
when Seattle all of a sudden gave them the money, it was because they didn't really have anybody, and they needed to keep him in town, which I totally understand. Just, we were talking about this during the offseason. I just don't see Seattle being that team with him. And then they started playing, and I was like, okay, you know what? I got to give Geno a little bit more credit because he's leading this team. Now,
Hey, Queen.
Now, the way that he plays to me is still more backup. I mean, yeah, your team, you can lead a team down, but you're not scoring all over the place. You're not a threat to the other team. I mean, right now, I think the threat that he brings is what Dallas should worry about. Is of course the scrambling that he has and he's capable of doing. Now, he's had some injuries in the past couple of days. There were some games he missed. So Lockett, Locke. What's his name? The quarterback, I can't think of his name. Drew Lock?
Drew Lock, yeah, Drew Lock. He was with Denver.
Big step drop down when you look at the two quarterbacks. So if you can get Geno's face and get him all of a sudden he's out of the game because something usually ends up happening with him. And again, I don't wish any injuries upon him, but it's just been his history. And then if Drew Lock comes in, I mean, that guy, you get a good rush on him, and then all of a sudden he's just not that same quarterback. But he can come in and all of a sudden get a drive going. But as soon as you get him rattled, that'll change that. So I think quarterback-wise, we definitely have an upper hand. It's just offensive line-wise, we just need to be able to bust through that offensive line and really put pressure. But I love our defense and where it's going. I just question some stuff. I question some of the rotation, but dude, they've been doing their thing. So I put my stuff on reserve.
Yeah. We need to. That's why that's why getting Leonard would help us in that respect. We could use Bell in the slot.
And a lot of people, and I heard one of yours, and I have to jump in. Yeah, and when people are talking about him, they're talking about, okay, well, he's a coverage liability. What? Who says you have to put him in coverage? Like he could be your linebacker.
They were saying that the Eagles. Yeah. Well, go ahead. Yeah.
No, and the Eagles are, more. I don't want to say desperate, but they're in more need of a linebacker. So of course, with us, our safeties are playing it, but obviously, if he comes in,
I'm not saying he's a liability. I'm not saying he's not what he was in pass coverage. And the way we run our dime, he may not be in on third down for us unless it's a third and short
or some of that. Exactly.
Yeah, that's all. But
I don't think he takes away playing time from Bell or
Clark.
Most
players don't play 3 downs. That's not normal.
Yeah.
I mean, all I was saying is Eagles would play him every down because they need him.
Yeah.
Whereas we have a guy like Bell who could come in and go with more of a safety look, more of like cover guys to cover these fast, speedy receivers, tight ends type. That's all.
When I say look at Leonard, I look at him more of like a Rashad Evans. I didn't. You know what? Let's be real. I was looking the other day. I didn't realize Rashad Evans was as young as he is. Like he's like 26, 27. I don't know why I was thinking he was in his 30s. But he's a young dude, man. And so I don't know why I guess as long as he's been in Atlanta.
Because he was a big name, and then you didn't hear anything. Why? Because he didn't do anything. Mm-hmm. And then he was with the Eagles. They cut him. I don't know if they're regretting it now with all their rash of injuries, but his career hasn't been very good. Whereas a guy like Shaq Leonard, even if he's limited with his back, and he's a little stiff on his lower body, and he doesn't move like he once did, he's still a tackling machine and can stop the run. And oh, by the way, he could help with the tush push. He could help with a lot. Because I could tell you one thing: when it gets cold and we got to go to Buffalo, I don't know about Buffalo. I would think they're gonna. Teams like Buffalo and Philly are gonna try and run it downhill at you. And as much as I love Marquise Bell, teams are exposing him a little bit in the run game. So you need a little more beef. That's all. And if that means Micah playing more like attacking, then I'm all for that. So I'm hoping we get the deal done. But I know I went off on a tangent, but we were talking about the defense, and that's kind of what I wanted to bring in because to me, our defense, the weakness is Jordan Lewis. He had some moments last game, but it seemed like every game we're saying, there he goes, there he goes. I think Marquise can
this matchup, I think this is where I worry about Jordan Lewis because of Lockett.
Yes.
I think Lockett is your guy that's going to be on Lewis, and he's going to just destroy Lewis. Lewis will be there here or there, but he's gonna be trailing most of the time, and you can't put a guy like Gilmore on him because Gilmore will not keep up as well. He has a problem with those drag routes and those speedy dudes. And I don't blame him. I mean, this is the NFL. A cornerback is one of the hardest positions to play, having to cover a guy that runs a 4.2, 4.3 and knows exactly where he's going, but you got to somehow keep up with him on his hip. So that's not the easiest thing. So when people talk crap about these cornerbacks, it's just like I laugh because,
brotherly shoves.
you know, it's a hard position to play, man. And so when you excel like Bland, that's something it's a natural instinct that you have. And then when you have your coach like an Al Harris that is coaching up this secondary, I mean, that's the biggest part of the puzzle that people don't really take into account. They take a Diggs. Oh, Diggs was like this in college. Oh, Bland and Wanye Thomas. You got some guys that are ball hawk guys in the secondary. And remember, this secondary, we didn't have any of those guys for a good 20 years. I mean, so
yeah,
I like the fact that our roster is getting filled with them. But of course, you always take the gamble. I'd rather take the gamble and because before I think we were swinging and missing and we weren't getting interceptions. So
yeah, agreed. I just like the idea of being able to slide Marquise Bell in the slot, use Wanye Thomas more. I think we all know Jordan Lewis's days are numbered. I'm actually surprised that we kept on him for that price tag.
I think he's a good fourth or fifth corner, maybe. I don't want him as a slot.
$5 million.
Yeah, that's true.
More than that, I think the cap hit's 4.5. Right? We talked about. Regardless, he's here. That's fine. I just like Wanye and I really like Marquise, and I think that they would be better than him. But we're
stacked in that position when it comes to it. I mean, there's a lot of positions on the defense where
we're like circumcising the mosquito because our defense is one of the best defenses in the league.
But can improve. But
all
can improve.
around.
Yeah. But still has room to improve. I mean, when you look at it, like we see a lot of that there's people coming out of the backfield, running backs, tight ends. They're just running those little out into the little flats and stuff, and they're getting yardage that way. And so you need somebody that can come up and really eliminate those guys, whether it's your tight end, whether it's your running back. And right now, it just doesn't seem to be on that roster. I mean, we got guys like Curse that's coming back from injury, so that's going to be a big thing. But I mean, when you look at the rest of the roster, it's just there are some holes. There's some guys that I would definitely like to elevate. We haven't seen people on our defensive line, for example, like Fahoko. That guy got drafted. Where has he been? So it's just
he was a red shirt, obvious.
Yeah,
obviously, very frustrating with this draft class. But
I would have loved to seen Overshone. Overshone is somebody that we tend to forget, except for Cowboy Mafia. Cowboy Mafia remembers him a lot, but Overshone is the guy that I get excited about next year. But I got to remember what his injury was. It's going to take that year,
Exactly.
And so you're hoping that he can still play, and he's fast to the ball with instincts. It's just You can learn all you want on the sideline, but until you're in the game, getting hit by 300-pound guys, fast guys as well, too. I mean, they're not 300-pound slow dudes. Most of them aren't. I just want to see playing time, and I think that's what we got to see in the past couple of games where the Dallas was, of course, leading. You got some backups to get in there, get some playing time. Some of the backup offensive line got in there, so that's what I wanted to see. I wanted offensive linemen to get in there because I wanted to see some other combinations of guys. So Hoffman, how's he still holding up? Is Bass still holding up? Richards. I just want to get everybody healthy, everybody experienced before we're trying to do a playoff.
There was nobody on the injury report today, people.
What about the illnesses? I know there was flus. I know earlier in the week,
there's a flu
Carson
going around. They'll just
and
have to give these guys IVs.
Yeah, Evans was also. No, not Evans. It was our other.
You got Micah's got it, and then you got
Dante Fowler. That's who it was. Dante Fowler had the illness.
Okay.
Yeah. I was like right there. I'm going to get Fowler and Evans mixed up a lot because both of them came from Atlanta. They're like right in that same wheelhouse right there. So
Coyote. you know, I mean, I said this at the beginning of the year. As much as I still listen, I want the Eagles to lose to the Niners, and I want us to beat Seattle. I know that the Eagles might still have a tiebreaker, even after we beat the Eagles, hopefully. I just want to go into that last stretch with an equal record, okay? That's all. I want to put a little pressure on the Eagles. Like, Twiz was from the area. I know I was talking to Bobby earlier, and I said he knows because he's very aware of the local media / fan base that if Dallas wins the next two and beats the Eagles by whatever, it doesn't really matter. Let's say Dallas wins by 7, whatever, 10 points. And the Eagles lose to the Niners and obviously lose to us, and we're tied with a month to go. People are going to be panicking. It's going to be panic city, but nobody's saying that they're not going to ultimately win a division. But I want to see them. It's easy to front run just because you're winning. And I know that sounds stupid, kind of, but you're winning. For the last 2 years, they haven't really had anybody on their tail. This year, they're winning it a lot differently than they won it last year. Last year, they were kind of just taking people over. This year, every game is kind of close. And they're coming out with it. Sometimes by their play, sometimes by the zebras. Whatever. I want to see a little bit of pressure on the Birds coming down the stretch. I want them to have to play that last game. They act like I know they have an easy schedule, but they still have to go to the 12th man in Seattle. And then they have 3 home games, 2 against, or they have to go to New York Giants, to Seattle, home against Arizona, that could be tricky, and home against the Giants. So I'm just saying, if we can get to that tie level ground, regardless of tiebreakers, it would be fun. Now, we may choke, and we may go to Buffalo and
I think that's what we'll do. Yeah, I think that's what's going to happen.
But that's and that's fine. I'm going to light them up for it.
Mm-hmm.
This is where your MVP quarterback can't allow that.
Yep.
Sorry, you can't.
It's true.
You
It's very
can't.
true.
But we're going to get to there. But I just want to set that up. To me, that would be entertaining for me. I know everybody wants to have a big lead and so they can rest people. I want to see a close fight all the way to the end. But getting back to what my original thought was, Coyote, it's all about, regardless of whether we win a division, it's all about how healthy are you and how are you playing going into the playoffs. If I could start the playoffs this week, that's how I would want to do it. Nobody on the injury report. Obviously, we lost Diggs and we lost a couple backups, but nobody on the injury report, and we're playing friggin' lights out. So that's just what I'm talking about. Where, the Eagles are struggling with injury. They're winning, and that's great. But do you want to go into the playoffs like that? I don't know. We'll see what they do against the Niners. I'm surprised that the Niners are the favorite. Very, very surprised.
So. Niners are the favorite in general, or is that what you're talking about? Or are you talking about favorites?
No, this week they're the betting on odds favorite.
Well, dude,
the
when
Niners
you look at
point favorite.
Well, right now in general, and I can say this, they just look like a more complete team. They look like a complete team. Their offense is really hard to stop. They got wide receivers. They got a wide receiver that plays running back. They got a running back that's staying healthy.
What's up, Felix?
He's never done that. Let's be real, man. McCaffrey has never stayed healthy through his whole career. And so then all of a sudden he gets the 49ers. I mean, he had a little bang up, but it's that offensive line giving him room, that, Carolina O-line wasn't doing that. Even though Carolina does have it, and they do have running backs that can run in that offense, you just saw it's just a different whole scheme. And so, they're still utilizing him like crazy, but that offense going, their defense, it just sucks that Washington had out of everybody you're going to trade Chase Young to, that's who you trade it to? That's what you do, Washington? Exactly. Damn, man. If you're just going to, to me, if they're just fucking up all this stuff, and no matter what, they just keep with the rest of the league, and Washington is just such a messed up team. It's like, to me, it reminds me of fantasy football. And right now, Washington's that 2-9 team that's trading with a playoff fantasy guy just because we got nothing and there's no point in me even playing anymore, and let's just start thinking about next year. And come on, man, it's just like, I don't know, man. It's just you can't tell me it was the better deal. It just wasn't a great destination that you sent him to. You just teamed him right back with Bosa, and yeah, sorry, man. I'm going a little bit of rant just because of Washington's
No, I'm
candy
listening
ass.
to you.
So it's just it just kind of pisses me off because I mean, I got to give San Francisco credit because obviously they're still building onto their roster. Their safeties are all banged up. They need somebody in the secondary. Some of their corners are banged up as well too. So it's just they don't have a hell of a defense like they did earlier in the year. But man, they still got a hell of a defensive line and some linebackers, man. I really like that Fred Warner guy, even though he hates the Cowboys.
They suffered a lot of injuries in the secondary, though.
Yes.
They lost another player.
Mm-hmm.
So when you really look into it, they're suffering some injuries in that defense. And we're going to break down all the games, correct, Phil?
Yes. Let's go ahead and do it.
Well,
Bobby Murphy.
So when we get to the game, I'll break down more. But yeah, let's start out with the games, and then when we get to the Eagle game, I'll to tell you a few thoughts. But
I saw that.
Right.
I saw that Bobby, when Sirianni he went. There was no handshake on the field, so he went to the locker room with Howie to make sure that he shook their hand because that's how much class he has. Sirianni, if he lost, is he going over to the other team's locker room and actually shaking the hand? Hell no, he ain't doing any of that stuff. He did it because he won. That's just the way he is. Just like he flexed as soon as he went into the tunnel last week. It's just he's just a douche. Let's be real. I mean, I don't like him as a person. I mean, it doesn't bother me because to me he definitely has that culture of Philadelphia. So I give him that.
Here's the deal with that. The Eagles, the media and the fan base couldn't stand them year one. Winning changes everything. But he's only going to have so much of a lease. If they don't go on to win a Super Bowl this year, okay, then you lose Jason Kelsey, and Lane Johnson's not far behind. I don't care who's in the wings. These are Hall of Fame offensive tackles. You're talking to a team a person in me who knows full well what happened in the 90s when we lost Eric Williams and Larry Allen and Mark Stepnoski and Nate Newton. We drafted good guys. We had a Flozell Adams via trade, but it wasn't the same. Mm-hmm. It just was not the same. So he's loved by a lot of, mainly the fans and some players, but a lot of players think he's like they really wish he would just be quiet sometimes when it comes to that extracurricular stuff, because he's writing checks that he's not having to deal with.
Texler, let's be real. Texler. It's like it's Eagles and 49ers. Who else are we going to talk about? We're going to talk about Washington? We just did. We talk about the Giants? I mean, there ain't nothing there. Of course we're talking about the Eagles.
You're
we're talking
10
about
and
49ers.
1, man. You're the best team in the league. Yeah, of course we're going to talk about
We're going to talk about the people that we're going to face in the playoffs most likely. I mean, Detroit. Detroit is kind of like going downhill a little bit, but they're still a playoff team. So of course we're going to talk about them.
You're the team to beat. You got the bullseye on you. I'm shooting. I've got arrows coming your way, baby. But anyway, let's get to the games at hand. Obviously, we're going to hold off on tomorrow's night game until the end. But just real quick, I know some of the people don't like discussing some of the meaningless games, but that's what we do here. So Tennessee at home a +1 versus the Colts. Tennessee +1 versus the Colts. It's a crap game. I'll take Tennessee because they're home. Give Derrick Henry the ball 30 times. Call it a day. What says you, Phil?
I say I'm going to go with the opposite, of course. I'm going to go Colts on this one just because I think they have a better running I don't say running game.
He's out.
Taylor's out, but they got a great
Taylor's
backup.
out.
They got a very good backup that will definitely pick up the slack, and I just think that Indianapolis' defense is better than Tennessee's. So I think Tennessee's going to have a problem moving it on the Colts. So I have to give it to the Colts.
Give me Bo Callahan at home. Anyway, New England +6. New England stinks. New England +6 at home against
I can't see that.
Chargers.
I got to go Chargers on this one.
Me too.
I look at.
I don't know. +6. Ugh. I'll take New England plus the points to lose another heartbreaker.
Yeah.
So
They, Chargers, of course, they just fired their head coach, right?
did they?
I want to say they did. I'm not sure.
No,
Guys,
they didn't. They fired. No, he's
They
on.
fired somebody.
He's still there.
Is it? Okay,
He's
I thought they
still there.
fired somebody. I can't remember who they fired, but I still have to give it to the Chargers. I just think they're a better team right now. The Pats, they just seem so lost. It doesn't matter who's at quarterback. There is no change. A lot of times when you're in the middle of a game, you switch your quarterback in halfway.
Supposedly,
that backup has something.
the big rumor is he's coaching Washington next year.
I heard that. Like,
Great, he's in our division. Great. Anyway, go ahead, Phil.
no, and so I would go Chargers on this matchup.
Houston Texans -3.5 against the Denver Broncos.
Should
I
be a good
haven't
game.
seen Eastside Harold lately. I guess because they're losing. Sorry, Eastside. You're always welcome. We're always nice to you here. Shame on you. I'll take Denver, by the way. I'll take Denver plus 3.5.
It's in
Denver
Houston.
seems to be on a roll.
They do. They are on a roll. Man.
Another crap game.
This is going to be very close. Again, let's go ahead and keep the tradition going, man. I'm going to go on the opposite side. I'm going to go Houston Texans.
Laying the wood.
Yeah.
I like it.
And but
You go,
again,
Jeff.
I could easily pick Denver in this game, man. This is going to be one of those games. Don't bet on anything.
I just, I look at it and you give me the hook, the half a point. They're both. Give me the team is hotter, and if they lose by a field goal, hopefully it's if they lose, hopefully it's only by a field goal. But the next game, you got the Washington left-hand ups plus 9.5 at home against the Miami Dolphins. Benito Miami. Go ahead, Phil. This is your squad. This is not your personal squad, but you're not far from.
No, yeah, exactly. I want to pick Miami in this game. To me, Miami should be able to just run, I just don't see them as the secondary being able to stay up with these wide receivers. I mean, you might get one guy, but you're sure as hell not going to get Hill all the time. And the defensive line, maybe you can get to Tua, but they got a really good running game. So I'm going to have to go Miami, even though there's a little part of me that says Washington may have the upset. But I don't know why I'm thinking that, but...
Give me the points, baby. Give me the points. You put the women and children in bed and let's go get some friggin' dinner. I'll take Washington plus the 9.5 after the Thursday embarrassment to come back at home and keep the game close. Maybe Tua gets lit up. I think the Tyreek Hill was out of practice. He may or may not play. Give me the 9.5 and a home dog. I like it. So, moving on to the next crap game. The New York Jets plus 3 at home against the Atlanta Falcons. Yeah, I'll take the Atlanta Falcons. There's no way I'm taking the Jets. They stink.
I want to
But then again, maybe Aaron Rodgers, who knows?
No, there's none of that. Just the spirit of him, gonna get people's spirit back up.
That's what I mean. The spirit of him.
It could. I look at the two teams, and I look at Atlanta's offense. I think of it going against the Jets' defense. I just see the Jets' defense being able to handle them. Now you're relying on the quarterback of the Jets, of course Wilson, to be able to move it on Atlanta's not so great defense. I think they could stick around and actually win this game. So I'm going to go with the Jets on this one to give the fan base a little bit more hope that maybe Aaron will come back. So you're telling me there's a chance?
So you're telling me there's a chance? All right, moving along here, a little bit more exciting.
We so go against against each other. It's so funny.
Yeah, it is. Well, it'll probably keep going. New Orleans at home plus 4 against the Detroit Fading Lions.
To me, this is a trap game.
Darlings.
This is a trap game.
I don't want to hear shit about it.
I want to say, to me, it makes sense that Detroit should be able to just run all over the Saints. But I think the Saints are going to actually pull up the upset and actually beat Detroit. It's in New Orleans. It's just one of those games where I think maybe Detroit doesn't take them as serious, and this is when you get Derek Carr actually playing a really good game. So I'm gonna go with the Saints on this one, even though you should, if you're a betting person, go Detroit.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna go Detroit on this one just because it seems too
just
easy
because it's
to
opposite
take
to
the
me.
four at home. Nah, plus just to be opposite of you. No, but I think Detroit, they're not gonna lose 3 in a row, are they?
If any
Maybe
team
they
would do
will.
it, man, they give their fan base some hope just to take it away from them.
Yeah,
That's just how
All right,
Detroit
now-
rolls.
that's actually an entertaining game to watch for me. Like I'll be tuned into that, the Miami Commander game, and that's about it. Those two.
I watch them.
Then this is the last of the crap games at 1:00. Pittsburgh Steelers at home -5.5 against the Cardinals. So,
Okay, so Pittsburgh versus the Cardinals, man. Arizona's gotten some rhythm going. They just haven't got any wins along with it. Pittsburgh, I think, is playing better on the defensive side, so I think they can hold Arizona. It just, can Pittsburgh's offense do enough? And I think they can. So I'd go actually Pittsburgh with this one. Home team, better record. Everything just says Pittsburgh.
you would think.
Everything, exactly. Here we go.
You would think, but the 5.5. Kyler Murray's back. Pittsburgh is just not great, but they are good at home.
Coyote says, they're lucky because they're lucky.
I don't know how Pittsburgh can be given 5.5 to anybody. Give me the Cardinals. Again, one of those games where, I'll probably get burned, but give me the points, and, hopefully it's a field goal game. So, all right, moving on to the 4:00 games. Tampa Bay -5.5 against the Carolina Panthers, who fired everybody. Poor Frank Reich got fired.
Man, to me, I think what's amazing about some of these teams, I get it, man. It's the NFL. You don't have a whole hell of a lot of time, but I think there should be at least a minimum of 3 years that you're giving a coach time before you can move on with him, because some of these guys, they get in there and you can't change a culture unless you're a coach that actually has some winning Super Bowls and has this philosophy, and you just get to people's heads and you motivate them, and they're just like, I want to play for this team, this guy. But if you don't get any chance to do that, I mean, you're basically Deion Sanders in Colorado. You're not really putting together. You're still using the other team that this other person put together, and you're trying to make it work. And you got all these leaks in your boat, and you're trying to patch them up. And then by the time you know it, they're like, look, man, this ain't going to work out. We're going to need to go with another boat, person. It's just, to me, they're just not giving these guys enough chance. And the guy wasn't a terrible coach. The running game was pretty good. I think he just needed a couple of drafts in order to get.
Pretty darn good in Indy.
Yeah, so that's why it's like I'm a little shocked that they didn't even go half a year. I mean, I guess half a year. They did go half the year.
Yeah, Twiz says it.
What's
I think
that?
it's better for Frank Reich, even though
It is,
he may not
it
get
is.
another job. I don't know why.
I think
don't
he
know
will.
but
Might be
I don't know how
Washington.
people would say that.
Might be
He
Washington.
wanted Stroud, and that's true. Very frustrating. Give me. I'll take the Tampa Bay all day. I think Carolina's an absolute mess at this point.
Yeah, I'd
Give me
take Tampa Bay too.
Lay whatever. I don't care. I know it's Tampa, but they're home.
This is the type
Lay
of
the
team
5.5.
that Baker will all of a sudden put on numbers and yeah, I mean, and the team, again, we talked about it. Their secondary, I think, is going to get some interceptions against Mayfield, because when we look at this team, this team can get interceptions on the defensive side of the ball for Carolina. So you should be able to see some struggles, but I still think Tampa Bay is just a better off team. Mark Holmes in the
All
house.
right.
What?
Los Angeles Rams -3.5 against the Cleveland Browns. Supposedly, if the USFL dude can't play, the rookie guy, then Joe Flacco will play for the Browns.
Wow.
I'll take the Rams. I don't know. Yeah, I think
I was going back and forth, but I was
take
thinking
the
about
Rams.
Browns. I'm going to take the Browns, even with their.
I could see that.
Yeah, even with their quarterback, we don't know who's playing. I'm going to take them. I think, again, I look at the two teams. I think LA is definitely a better team, but their records don't show that. And Cleveland has been playing really good ball, even with their backup quarterback. And it's their defense. Their defense is keeping them in games.
Yeah.
And
I'll
so I'm
take
going to go
the
Cleveland.
Rams.
I'm going to go Cleveland.
All right, there it is. This is the game. Everybody's been outside of tomorrow night's game, so it'd be nice to get it out of the way and be able to sit back. Hopefully, we get the job done tomorrow. We get to watch this game with bated breath. The Philadelphia Eagles are the home underdog, which is, if I was them, I would take that as a little bit of a slap in the face. The line started out at +2.5 for the Eagles, and it hasn't moved. I see one line at 1.5 and one line at +3. So some casinos have the Eagles a 3-point dog. We'll go 2.5 against the San Francisco 49ers.
I'm going to go 49ers on this one. They're a better team than I hate to admit it, but they're better teams than Eagles and the Cowboys. They're just they're the complete team. They have, of course their quarterback goes down, that shit changes. But I mean, what team doesn't really, right? Their defense.
This is my
defense
fear,
is good, man.
As just watching this, Debo is coming out running his mouth about James Bradbury. Now,
I'm
on record as saying I don't think they're very good, meaning they're not playing well. I'm not saying they're horrible players, but Slay and Bradbury, they're not having a great year. Just it's not me saying it. Look at the scoreboard. They're not. They're giving up a lot of big plays. So I wonder if they're running their mouth too much. They had the whole, if we didn't lose our quarterback, you wouldn't have beat us in the playoffs, yada, yada. Eagles have a lot to play for in this game, but they are so friggin' banged up that I think the Eagles lose to the 49ers. I'm not going to give a score, but it'll be more than 2.5 points. I think the Niners are going to go up and down the field.
They could
and
run
if
away
they
with
don't,
it,
then shame on them, and
I think
they're not who I thought they were.
I think the 49ers could definitely run away with it, but I don't think it'll be anywhere near what San Francisco did to Dallas. So let's be real.
No.
It could be close. It could be not. If Eagles go there, if the Eagles take care of this, man, they're definitely set up to
I'm on
battle.
record as saying that if the Eagles win the game, then it's a wrap, and I still want to win, but now those games in Buffalo and Miami, they're not. You just want to come out healthy and start playing good towards the end of the year.
Yep.
If the Eagles beat the Niners, it's over, people.
Yeah, they deserve the number one.
I'm just going to be honest with you, it's over.
Yeah.
So, and I will give them their grace because we can't couch it because the Niners are playing really good.
Twiz, I think that'll benefit you.
Really
if it is raining, I think that'll benefit the Eagles a lot. They're definitely home, the crowd, everything. It's just if you can get the ball to be a little bit sloppy.
That helps the Eagles.
Yeah, I think that would help them a lot.
Jeez, it's raining again, Twiz? Let me look at the weather. Let me look at the local weather. That's crazy that it's going to friggin' rain yet again. Let's see here. Daily. Sunday, 58. Cloudy with showers. Winds 5 to 10. Chance of rain 40%. So it's not going to be like it was this past week with the high winds, but didn't stop the field goal kicker for kicking a 59-yard.
Damn,
field
man, that
goal
was a hell of a kick, dude.
It was at his back. You could tell by the way
field,
the ball moved,
with the wet ball, everything.
Very,
man.
very impressive.
Got to give him credit on that one. That was a really good one. And so so when you look at this thing, it's going to be a battle.
I'm going to go with the Niners.
It's going to be an interesting game.
Yeah. I think it'll be a good game to watch, and I think the Eagles have a lot to play for. A lot of comments are being made this week. I just think that they're so banged up that there's only so much they could do. I think Javon Hargrave, like you said, the linebacker, I just think they have a lot. Now, expect Lane Johnson to play. They're being safe with him in practice, so he'll be back. But I don't know how long he's going to remain in the game. You got Bosa, and they come in waves.
They do.
So
I'm
going to go with the Niners, but listen, I will give the Eagles all the props in the world if they somehow pull this game off. Then
Yeah, they've done really well the past two. I mean, you need the other team, of course, to play sloppy football. That's got to be
Yes.
part of the thing. I mean, that's always the lucky bounces that you guys have been getting. Got to get those as well, especially against these good teams. And that's where Dallas has not had those things. The penalties have been against us. The fumble, any of those turnovers have gone the wrong way for us. So, there's a lot of stuff there. And then, of course, that offense was not doing anything in the beginning of the year. Let's be real. So this is definitely a different team. And again, we just want some healthy players just going forward. So yeah, let's go on to the next game, man.
All right, the next game, it's kind of a long fall to this, but it's interesting. Green Bay Packers, it's the Sunday night.
See, how is San Francisco
game.
and Eagles not the Sunday night game? Like,
Yeah, well, I know.
Let's be real.
I think that might have been each team was maxed out because you're only allowed to have like so many primetime games. Maybe that's what it was.
How
Green
about you
Bay
beat them
at
a
home
better
plus
team
6
and then
against the Chiefs.
Yeah. Man. I want to pick Kansas City, but Kansas City's kind of been letting me down for the past couple of weeks. They're just, even though they're playing, they're still driving it down the field. It's just Mahomes hasn't looked like Mahomes, and the offensive line, hasn't been doing great. That defense has been allowing teams to kind of go up and down the field a little bit. So I want to pick Kansas City. I still believe that they can, they'll whip it out at any point. And against a Green Bay team, I think Green Bay is a little bit exciting in the sense that, when you count them out, that's when they all of a sudden start turning it on. So you could see that in this game, and I'd be very surprised, but I'm going to go Kansas City on this one.
Yeah, I'm going to go with I think Kansas City probably wins the game. I think it's a field. I think I'll go with the Packers here at home plus the 6. We'll have to see about the injury report if A.J. Dillon is really out. I mean, they have a couple guys that are banged up. So, but I think Green Bay played really well in Detroit. Now they're coming home. It's probably going to be a bad weather game.
Yeah,
I stick with Kansas City. Isn't that great? And I would just take Lambeau Field. Give me Lambeau Field plus 6 with a surging Jordan Love. Hopefully, it's a field goal game. So I'll take Green Bay. So that brings us to the Monday night matchup. At one point, this was going to be a doozy. Not so much now. Jacksonville minus 8.5 against Cincinnati.
Yeah, I gotta go Jacksonville. I can't, even though maybe I'm like, oh, what? No. I gotta go Jacksonville. The only way Jacksonville throws this away is if Jacksonville does this, staggering Jacksonville thing. We've all seen that where all of a sudden they come out and they just can't score anything. They can't move the ball. But then again, on the more recent games, they've been doing really, really well. So I gotta go Jacksonville.
I agree. Cincinnati, I think they're a very talented team, but without their leader, and I know they have A.J. McCarron as their backup, he may get some snaps, which would help them. I don't think you're going to go into Jacksonville. Just lay the points. I think Jacksonville is going to be on a roll from here on out.
Yeah.
They had a great win last week that I called, and I expect them to roll.
Win the division, right? Win that division.
Yep, that's what I'm seeing. Which brings us full circle back to tomorrow night's game. I hate Thursday night games, but in this situation, it's okay. Yeah, I don't think it would have mattered. Everybody's healthy. Just a little bit of a flu. Dallas is -9 now in most places. Dallas -9 against the Seattle Seahawks.
Man, there's a part of me that knows that Seattle can definitely win this game. I don't put it in the same category as I did Arizona's, and if you go back to our Arizona talk, we were very confident going into that matchup, but we talked about what Arizona did very well against what Dallas's defense did terribly. And when you match those two together, it was just a very strong thing for Arizona. And of course, Josh Dobbs was doing Josh Dobbs things, and we haven't had the best of luck when it comes to going against him, whether he was in Cleveland, whether he was in And Arizona, it's just, so it's interesting to see what happens when we have to play Minnesota at some point. But when you look at these two teams, I look at the rankings because the ranking says a lot. And right now, we all see Seattle. Seattle's stagnant a little bit. Their quarterback, is he in? Is he out? Is that offensive line blocking? Is it not blocking? Is that defense stopping everybody? It just looks so up and down, up and down. They're never on the same page now compared to earlier in the year. So as much as I want to give Seattle, hey, they're going to stick it close, I think in the end, the score is going to be a little bit more misleading than what the actual game happens. I think the score will double their points, but I still think they're going to dominate the game. It's just going to seem closer than what it is, and it's going to make people nervous until you look at the final score. So I'm going to go Dallas is going to win this 28-14. Just because I think Seattle can put together a couple of drives that will scare us and score on one, but I think they're also going to be able to score a stupid touchdown on us, and that'll bring them to 14. And so that's why I said I think they'll make it look like it's a little bit closer, but I look at Dallas 28-14.
No, I like that. Chuck says Mike get 3-sack game, DB another pick 6.
Ooh.
Let me just say, Chuck, that if Deron Bland gets another pick 6,
he just said DB. He didn't say Bland.
No, he means Deron Bland.
No, he's defensive back, right? He's
Chuck, you let me know. I think I know Chuck.
Yeah.
The Mystic and I both know how to read Chuck. I think the Mystic
he's talking
thinks
about
you
Bland.
mean Deron Bland.
Yeah, he thinks Bland.
Look at this creep. Look, this is the real
I
deal,
think
people.
I think he gets another one before the end of the year. I just don't look at it like that.
See, he means Bland. The Mystic knows all. The Mystic is coming for you, Twist. Watch it.
But when I look at this game, I can look at Dallas really running away with this team too.
I'm going to do all the right protocols in this. I'm going to follow the protocols to a T. Make sure I learn exactly what I'm doing. But anyway, getting back to the game, before I go into the mailbox, I've been scared of this game for a month. I've been scared of this game just because there's ebbs and flows in a season. Games where they appear. We have a big game against Philly, revenge game for us. Big Thanksgiving win, and this game is right in between. And oh, by the way, they're desperate. They're talented.
Well, that's what you mean when you were talking about this team.
It's scary.
When you were talking about this team being a threat, you were going, okay, winnable against Washington, winnable against Carolina, winnable against, I don't even know the third team that we played there in that little stretch. That's how
Carolina.
Well, I already said Carolina, Washington. I don't remember if there was a third team in there. But when you look at exactly. But when you look at that, I mean, this was the team that you were looking at because that's when the schedule started to get different. So I totally understand, man. You were right there. So go ahead, continue.
I haven't used the Mystic yet. I'm still waiting on when I think I'm going to hold them off for the playoffs. But I think playoffs. But yeah, I don't know what I'm doing, the Glimmer Man. I'm not messing. I'm gonna follow the protocols. They sell them for a reason, right, Chuck? It's all for fun, but I'm not gonna get careless with it. I understand. Anyway, getting back to the game. I've always been nervous of this. Not so much, but I say that, but let me grab my picks and I'll keep rambling on.
Well, Dallas is in the series is leading that series 11 wins to 10. So it's like it's really close.
It's close. We've never beaten Lockett. He's 4-0 against us when he plays. Now that doesn't mean nothing for tomorrow. I'm just saying he matches up well with us. He's a guy that always seems to make the circus catch against us, put his 2 feet in. They're going to score tomorrow night. Mm-hmm. I'm telling you now. As much as I think, and it may be, I think they may get ahead of us. I think they're going to come out. Now, it all depends. Geno Smith has that elbow injury. He's been throwing picks at an alarming rate. Unfortunately for Geno, he's playing a team who is unbelievably good at taking the ball away. We're the best in the league with taking the ball away, and that's what we do. We need to put some serious pressure. They are going to try and run, like Phil says, but they're also going to try and do a quick passing game. which might set up a lot like it might be one of those frustrating games. I really hope that we play up in these guys' faces and play physical. Don't give them free releases off the line of scrimmage. And I was worried about the game. I even I posted a question to my Dallas fans saying, what would you do if we were down double digits, like 10 points? I mean, I just think that they're going to pull out all the stops. It's one of those games where it's going to be 4th and 1. They're going to go for it. They're going to constantly go for it. I just think they know this is their season they don't have too many more games to lose. This is it. But the bottom line is their offense is struggling. I will take the Cowboys. I think this is going to be, like Phil said, one of those games where the end score, you're like, wow, it could be worse than this. If Dallas's offense doesn't miss a beat, it could be in the 40s again easily. And they've done 40s, and they haven't looked fantastic in doing it. I don't know. I'm not trying to jinx Bland, but I don't know how he can continue to do that. He already set the NFL record. I don't care who you played. It's been forever. Nobody's ever done what he's done. It's not normal. So to say he's going to have another pick six, the odds of that have to be incredibly long. So, hey, if he does it, fantastic. But I have the Cowboys 34, Seahawks 24. I think it's a situation where the Seahawks score, but I think they do get in the end zone a few times. I do. I think they're going to have to. I think we're going to have a decent lead. So take the -9 and the over the 47.5. I think Dallas's offense is just on a roll. I just don't think that they're going to be stopped by a Seattle. I think we're going to be up, and I think we're going to give up some yardage. Is there a player, Phil, that you like to have a big game on our defense tomorrow? Because I have a specific guy that
Wanye Thomas. I want it to be known that I'm a big Wanye Thomas fan. Like when people talk to him on Twitter, I want them to be able to say, "Hey, that Primetime Phil dude, he's a big fan of yours."
That's true.
So I wanted to get back to him as well, man. And maybe have him on the show at some point. But I really like him. I just don't, can he get some opportunities? He's been getting a lot more opportunities recently. I just think he's a playmaker. But if I had to pick somebody with playing time to have a good game on the defense, man, I am going to actually go with probably going to go Armstrong. I'm going to go Armstrong because you look at Parsons. We know what happens to Parsons every single game. We know D-Law, as much as he's been on some rushes for the passing. I think
D-Law,
he's great at the running. The people they tend to forget, other than Hankins, all that kind of stuff, is Dorrance Armstrong, man. Dorrance tends to benefit from everybody else, and he's not a terrible defensive end either. I mean, he's really good. And so when you tend to try to forget about him and give him that one-on-one coverage, Armstrong will win that. So I look at Armstrong having a big game, probably like a 3-sack game from Armstrong.
Yeah, I see D-Law going nuts tomorrow, like causing a strip sack, like pick six type of, like fumble. I think it's like a strip sack that's returned for a touchdown. I'm seeing a defensive touchdown. I mean, hey, listen, if it's Bland, that would be great. I don't see it. Teams are still, just real quick, teams are still throwing at Bland because he does give up yardage. He gave up 8 catches for over 100 yards to Samuel. He just made a mistake. He baits you.
It wasn't all Samuel. It wasn't all Samuel. There was I definitely saw some other ones where he was giving it up, but it wasn't like it was right on the break. Those guys were breaking. The quarterback had already thrown it, so it's just one of those things that majority of corners are going to give that up.
Yeah, and that's what I was saying.
Yeah. Sorry,
because Hamid likes to come in. He gave up a lot to this person. But listen. That's the hardest position on.
How many touchdowns did he give up?
Ones are going to give up.
My question is, how many touchdowns did he give up, and how many points did he score? Did he give up more than he scored? No. So I'd say we won that.
Bland. Let's see here. We got Blue Virus says, "What do you guys think about Bland doing all the pick six?" I would say no, but I want him. I would never have thought that he would have had 5. So. If he gets 6, he's the defensive player of the year.
Yeah.
I don't know if you heard this, Phil, but I heard Brian Broaddus talk about it. He brought up analytics, and the analytic conversion of a pick six is equivalent. This is not him thinking. This is exactly what the Cowboys analytics department have down as a metric. A pick six is equal to 4 sacks in a game by a defensive player. So think about that. So through 11 games,
20.
he has 20 sacks, meaning bland.
Plus he has another 2 on top of it because he has 7 on the season, doesn't he? Pretty sure he has 7 on the season, but he has 5 pick sixes. But how many? But so if you just get an interception, is that 1 sack? That's, to me, should be 2 sacks.
I don't know that.
You know what I'm saying?
That's probably right.
So right now,
you're
he's
probably
up there.
right. He only discussed the one where like
when you
a
score a
pick six
touchdown,
is equivalent to 4 sacks. So I'm just throwing it out there. Right now he's got 20. So that's where that goes. That's how Stephon Gilmore, and he didn't have this many. He only had 4 in that year with the Colts, and he won Defensive Player of the Year. But it was also because they had success, in the postseason. So even though that's not a postseason award, don't kid yourself. They look at stuff like that. So,
Oh yeah.
I will be. Hey, Mark Hudson, how are you, buddy? Ronnie, how are you? Jason Peters is going to have his hands full. Yes, he is, Ronnie.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely. Thanks.
I know he was a little bit. He got hurt last game, so I don't even know. Is he? I haven't heard anything. I haven't looked a lot on their injury report itself, so I don't know if he is back as well. I mean, but he was playing, so if you got to think, if he was playing and you have a backup.
About Jason Peters. We had him. We saw him up close and personal. We were desperate last year. I'm going to keep going back to that. I know we're getting long here, but last year we had so many issues injury-wise coming down the stretch. The fact that we won a road playoff
every
game,
position. Let's be real.
Yeah, I mean, it was all over the place. But we know we can't use injuries as an excuse, and we didn't last year. But I'm bringing it up as when you look back on it compared to how we're looking right now. It's night and day. It really is night and day, regardless of it. My only thing is if we don't win the division, we better stay locked in with the 5th seed because that's your ticket.
I like the 5th seed.
That way, you have to stay in the 5th seed. You don't want to lose ground, so you have to stay.
It looks very promising as well too, because when you look at our league compared to the others that are in that wild card hunt, wild hunt.
Wow.
Yeah, exactly.
Wild turkey.
Yeah, wild card hunt. Exactly. So we can go so many different directions with that. I should have paused. I should have paused it. We're like 2 games ahead. So I mean, and of course that can change here, especially when you're playing these teams like Buffalo and guys in the next couple of weeks. So you need to win these types of games. These games are right now are in favor for you. How many points are they up? Are they favored by?
Who's that?
Dallas.
9.
I'm not sure if you 9. Okay. Yeah. All right. So I mean that's pretty good compared to how much they usually try to give. Yeah, because they don't like to give those out too much. But
I could see a 10-point win. I could see a 30-10. I mean, I could see 30-20. But I don't know. I don't think Dallas is going to be stopped. That's the thing. I think Dallas is locked in right now. Mm-hmm. Nobody wants to play Dallas offensively, especially in AT&T. I don't know what. Listen, I'm not going to lie to you. I don't know what we're going to do in Buffalo or what we're going to do in Miami. That's what's exciting. Because you get to play these good teams, and then we get to shut up people, or we have to listen to their shit until the playoffs. Mm-hmm. Either way, we're going to know in the next month. We're going to know if Dak can get through this stretch 4-0, then watch out, because that means we are seriously rolling. If we slip up, then we're not that guy. You're not that guy. I mean, I don't mean him personally, but as a team. We shall see, but I'm excited. I'm excited for it.
Yes.
I'm ready to roll. Is everybody else ready for this weekend or what?
Yeah, I mean,
it's only Wednesday. It feels like Friday.
So Thursday night. So of course we're going to be back tomorrow night, covering this Thursday night football game. We like to cover the Thursday night football games, and so now finally it's coming together where a Thursday night football game and the Dallas Cowboys are going to be. Yeah, we're going to be here, man. We're going to be covering the game, talking about it, chatting about it. Hopefully not bitching about it. But there's, of course, even if we're winning by 30 points, we still find a way to bitch, right, Glimmer Man? So, hey, man, we're going to be here. Hopefully we can see you guys here. Follow us. Brian, is there anything you want to say to the chat? Because I think we covered every single possible thing plus some.
I think we covered everything. Look, to my Cowboys fans, this is a big game tomorrow night. Please, I want to have a nice, relaxing, double-digit win. I want to see our offense do what we've been doing. If not, I'm not going to be happy. I'm not. Everybody's doing it. I know.
And Seattle is desperate.
Can be.
They're desperate right now, and you were right. You pointed it out.
They can be desperate.
Yeah.
And I think we're going to give up some points because of that desperate. I think they're going to make every freaking circus catch. Doesn't matter. If we do what we have to do on offense and defense, we should take care of business. Stay healthy. Get to next Sunday. Get that 10-day rest. Get ready for the birds.
Yep.
And then we'll see. But this starts tomorrow night. I'm excited. That's about it. I'm working tomorrow, so I will do my lunchtime chat at 2:45 Eastern. So everybody, please check it out, and I'll see you tomorrow night. We're going live, baby, for the game.
So again, I appreciate you guys coming through. We had a heck of a chat, man. You guys were going really, really well. A lot of good input, and it's great because we can ask you guys questions. You guys are really quick to give those answers back. Sometimes we can't look these things up, so
that's it, JoJo.
we appreciate.
You got it.
Yeah, I love it, JoJo. So guys, I appreciate you coming through. I appreciate you guys sharing, chatting, talking crap. I don't mind at all. Of course, Brian loves that stuff. He lives right in Philly. I think he was a Dallas fan that moved to Philly or in that area, not Philly, Jersey, but I think he moved there just to instigate some people because you know how he is on his channel. So I think there was the whole plan the whole time. So guys, I appreciate you coming through, and man, I just hope for a really good game tomorrow. So I guess I will see you tomorrow. But one thing I hope you don't forget to do is
always ring that bell.
Damn right, guys. Have a great night.
Hey, we know each other. He's a friend from work.
What you do, you're like a little screw loose type of guy, and that's how I am. So I'm digging it, big guy. I am.
Who are you?
You.
No, not me, you.
Yes, I am you.
Just answer the damn questions. Who are you?
Game Time Brian, otherwise known as the mailman here,
Cool name. Superpowers?
broadcasting from the illustrious Jobu Studio.
Come on, are you gonna tell me who that is?
Primetime Phil, and of course my co-host Game Time Brian.
Oh, Jesus Christ, this place is going to explode. $100,000, I don't even need to hear it.